You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Gene. Johnson.
From the AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies, it's AFTERBUZZ TV's Game Control Live.
Hey guys, and what is happening? Welcome to Game Control Live. It's the show. Woot! For you guys who enjoy the live aspect of it, we are sorry. We apologize if you're watching it now. The internet service provider decided they don't like us. Not our fault. That's why we're playing some awesome Zelda 2 beats. This is Zelda 2 Medley remake by Music Wizard, found off of Newgrounds if you guys want to check it out. But let me introduce my fellow co-host, Grant Kohrmann.
Hello, everybody. What camera? There.
Look at his hair is just getting longer every week, almost rivaling the length of Raychul Moore's hair right next to him.
I'm not going to get it that long.
And guys, next to me, the lovely Jessica Villarreal.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for having me, you guys.
Of course. Thank you for joining us.
This is an amazing studio. I was not expecting this. I thought this was your house.
It is my house.
And I was like, what?
It does look like a house outside.
On his show.
It can be both.
I know,
It looks exceptionally creepy when you're rolling up.
That's what I thought my first time. She was like, wait
I
a
was
second.
like, what show is he taping in there?
Yeah, we look like a house, and you're like, is this a show or is it a movie?
Right.
No, but it's fantastic in here. So.
I mean, we do fetish videos here, like on the off hours.
Hey, boy,
but
hey.
And guys, I am Dave Klein, and in the studio, John Quick. Now Quick on Twitter.
Now
Oh, someone's
quick.
upgrading.
What's up, people? I've joined the whatever century we're in. I think it's the
22nd.
All right.
Twitterverse.
All right, guys, and we do have a very special guest with us today. He's the co-founder of Loot Crate, Matthew Arevalo. Thank you so much for joining us.
I'm having fun. This is great.
And Loot Crate is blasting off amazing stuff for all of you nerds out there, but we will definitely talk about it more at the end of the show. Also today, we're going to talk about Sony, their update, more issues again. Come on, Sony. Nintendo talking about free-to-play games, iOS 7 coming out, our gaming moments of the week, a bunch of quotes from around the industry. But before we get to that, the big news of the week, Xbox One 80. They have pulled a giant 180 on everything.
But didn't Grant and I totally predict that? We sat here, I think, last week.
I feel like I deserve a cookie.
And we said, don't worry, because it's not going to ship like that. They
cake.
will change their minds.
And I thought they were going to do it. I knew that they were going to do it at sometime in between now and November. I really didn't think it would be like
maybe
5 days
I didn't think it was going to be that fast either, but I knew they were going to change their minds. So
The fact that you said "don't worry" makes me think that you're happy that it happened.
I did.
I'm happy it happened.
These two,
You're
not Jes V, but our other host, they hated it. Hated it. And so we're like, don't get your panties in a twist, you two.
Oh, yeah, so
it's going to change.
Kari Take couldn't be here this week, but she will be back next week.
We miss you.
She's out of town. We miss you. But yeah, so actually, I guess we can give you the new mascot for Game Control Live while it's on AfterBuzz from our fan.
We think it's a bee.
We need to name it. We need to name it.
Oh.
GCB.
Buzz. It has to have buzz in it.
I know,
it's gotta be like
right?
Buzzy or
Buzzy. I like
Buzzbo.
Buzzy.
Buzzbee.
Buzzy.
Buzzbee.
Buzz bees.
Buzzy McBuzzbuzz.
But there's already a
Buzzbee was a
Buzzbee.
game I wanted to make when I was 6 years old. I wanted to make a game called Buzzbee.
Oh.
So that's what this is. This is
Okay.
Buzzbee now.
Crush
Buzzbee's
dreams.
To answer your question though, yes, I am not happy. With the
Okay,
reversal.
well then give me that opinion because I was so pissed off about everything Xbox One with this. So
I'm not
give
very
me your
happy with the
opinion.
reversal either.
I think the compromises that need to be made in order for like the consoles and the whole gaming scenario to move forward, I was willing to make those compromises. I was willing to have the console call home. I was willing to have the setup the way it is because I like the idea of not having to have the disc in there all the time. I like just like buying the disc.
You
getting it
can
down.
not if you
Right,
download it
right.
online though. Then you don't have to have the disc on there. all
But
the
then
time.
but then you can't go to your friend's console and
Yeah.
like stuff doesn't move around with you. It's
I
like it's
liked
still
what they were
stuck
doing
on your console.
I liked the idea, But it's proof positive of the fact that everybody was cheering for PlayStation during the Sony conference is that it pissed off enough people that it made people cheering for the status quo over at Sony,
But
which
I
is
think
like...
I didn't like the reversal because I think to move forward in technology, you have to take really big leaps of faith.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in tons of game consoles and even just in technology in general. People always bitch about something that's new, and then it does really well, and they're like, "Why were we bitching?" And remember, just even with most recently the iPad, people hated the iPad announcement when it first was announced, and now every
people
single
hating it at all.
Really, they're like, "It's
No.
just an electronic magazine."
Or it's a big iPhone.
Everyone I
without
know-
the
people
phone.
hated
Everyone
it.
I knew was really excited
They're making
about
fun
it.
of the name, too,
now-
referring to as a...
Yeah, the
Now
pad.
everybody has an iPad, and it's just, I think Microsoft was going to really kind of be the forefront of a change in technology and how we play our games and are accessing online, and now they're just like, never mind, we're going to fade into
Well,
the
I
back.
gotta totally disagree with you guys here because I mean the DRM thing I didn't care about at all. To me, the whole use game thing that wasn't the issue. The issue, as I've said many times on this show, to me was the 24-hour online authentication and much more of a calm way I'll talk about it. Last week I was really pissed off,
Yeah.
but now that it's all over. But no, here's the thing though.
That's chump change when it comes to what they're talking about.
But to me though, that is the thing that was driving me nuts because I don't want to have to get a game I bought to have to be authenticated every day.
I think it was
every
hilarious,
single day, no matter what.
The loopholes and the workarounds that they had designed in order to make it so that people didn't have internet that could do it. They were talking about how like you could hook up a Windows phone and like go through the authentication process on the phone.
But I mean, like, it's still to me though. It's like, okay, I just want to be able to go anywhere and not have to worry about that. Especially if I buy a game, I just want to be able to play it offline. If it's an offline style game, I don't want to have to think, is my console connected to the
Do you
internet?
play any games offline though?
Yes.
When was the last game you played offline? Where you're like, I
Xenoblade Chronicles.
I don't want to connect to Xbox Live right now.
Xenoblade Chronicles. I didn't
you're
play
not-
that
and
game
you weren't-
online.
but
I
you
didn't feel the
weren't
need
But you were
for it.
connected
You were
to
connected to
online though.
Xbox
But
Live,
you were
right?
still connected to Xbox Live.
In case someone wanted to play an online game with you. So you're online anyways. And all these devices
But I
we
don't.
have...
But there are times that I'm not. Like I moved recently
When
a
did
year
you
ago.
just,
I didn't have internet for a week and a half. You know what I did for that week and a half while I didn't have internet? I played my games I bought single player, without having to worry about online for that week and a half. And it's something where I just don't want. I want to own the games I own, no matter what. I don't want someone to have to constantly check and authenticate it.
I like to be the devil's advocate every once in a while, and I would say that
Every once in a while?
during that week, you know, if I encountered the same thing, I probably would have done something like play my Super Nintendo or gone back and mess with my Xbox. I mean, if we're talking about a theoretical future where that kind of thing would happen and you wouldn't be able to play on your Xbox One,
Okay,
I'd play with my Xbox 360.
Okay, sure, but yes, you can just play something else. But the point to me is that I would rather have, I bought a new game. I
Yeah.
would like to play something new.
I also hate that this is teaching gamers even further that the more we bitch, the more we get our way.
I don't think that's why they did it,
Yeah,
though.
I think it was more Sony was pulling their arm because, pardon me, sorry, I'm getting over a little cold, everyone. Excuse me. Yeah, no, I feel it was Sony that made them change their minds because Sony was, playing the part that everyone wanted.
Well, I think Sony just added fuel to the fire that was already there.
Right. Yeah.
They're working with a lot of.
I'm sorry.
think it was Sony.
They're
This is
working
what
with a lot
changed
of
their minds.
retailers
I
now,
thought
though.
I thought it was the pre-order sales.
Yeah,
that
they're working
changed
with
their
a lot
mind.
of retailers now. This is like 8 years down the line. Pre-orders are a much bigger thing than it was when the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3 came out. They were working with so many retailers that if PlayStation got an edge on them over the first week and it continued into the second and third week, it was going to leak out. Like, you're going to have people at Amazon and people at Best Buy leaking out the details on the amount of pre-orders, and they're just going to leak to the press saying, hey, for every Xbox One that's ordered, there's 3 PlayStations ordered. And they could not weather that kind of bad press. It would snowball, and they would eventually be so far behind the game, it would have been a no-brainer.
Right.
Did
And
anybody
I
else
agree
just
with you.
notice how Grant's voice just went all Barry White there? Like, holy shit.
And
No, seriously, that was weird. I just wanted to point that out.
But-
I think I'm starting whatever she's going to get over soon. So.
I know. I'm sorry.
How much do you think the Sony video, the like viral video of like, here's like how you share games with your
Yeah.
friends,
Not
how much
so
do you think that
much.
was like a blow?
That
I thought
was
it a
amazing.
giant blow.
That was
And
amazing.
Regardless of what you think, I thought that video was so well done.
I did
It was
too. I
incredibly
did
well
too.
done. No matter what you think. But to go on what you were talking about, Matthew,
if they
though,
had gotten comparable pre-orders, though, that would have been water.
I think it was definitely pre-orders,
really,
and so I definitely think it was pre-orders. And I think it's funny because in their statement that Microsoft released on Xbox Wire, they said, "I would like to take the opportunity today to thank you for your assistance in helping us to reshape the future of Xbox One." And later, "Thank you again for your candid feedback." Which I'm sure was just
candid.
like,
that was anything but candid.
I love the over-politeness of it.
Anything they can do to make it so it's not Sony is the one who pushed us to this change.
But even so, I think it's just funny with them saying thank you again for your candid feedback, with people pissing the hell over them.
My last point about the always connected thing is that we have devices that call home all the time. You can't use your phone without it connecting to AT&T and authenticating that you still are paying your phone bill.
Okay, but that's something where that's a phone and that's what it's supposed to do. You
but
need
our
to be able to call
computers do that. When we buy a program, a lot of times it will constantly dial home and be like, is this activation key still valid?
But again, that is a per program thing depending on the program. If your computer had to be connected online all the time, period, to use your computer, nobody would buy a computer.
Well, all right.
And back on what you were saying, though, Matthew, about the disc thing that I do want to talk about, is that you're complaining that, oh, well, I just want to be able to go to a friend's house, not have to worry about bringing a disc and play my game. Is it really that big of a deal to bring a disc in its case over to your friend's house?
I haven't taken a disc
and then
to
you
my
don't have to
friend's house
download
in
it.
With their system,
10 years,
it was a
though.
big deal.
I haven't-
You don't have to download the game.
Maybe there wasn't a lot of. Maybe I'm a little out of the loop with how the sharing system. They had this whole thing where it had like a family
it was complicated, so you'd be forgiven.
Or
I
like
just
for an
recently took a
eight-person
disc
thing.
to a friend's house.
But the way they made it sound was like if I bought the game and it's a co-op game or something, I can go over to your house and just be like, hey, let's just go ahead and play. And not have to install the disc onto your hard drive and everything.
You do have to install the game.
You do have to install the game?
If you want to play it, because they have to have the game. That's why they did all these online
on
checks.
Xbox One, not on Xbox 360.
No, I'm talking about Xbox One.
Okay.
For the Xbox One, it had to install the game onto every single console in order to play it.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that's because
Well, then I
that's the only way
consider
that you can
myself
play the game.
a fairly technical guy and a savvy guy, and I missed that and all the stuff that was flying around all over the
That's the
place.
thing with Xbox too. They just were so bad in conveying information, and now it's all completely reversed. So if you guys were confused before, actually, we should clarify for people who don't know what's happening.
It's pretty confusing.
So for people who
I'm
don't,
still confused.
so for
I
people,
checked out 2 weeks ago.
I just
Yeah,
want to play my fucking video games. That's all I
I'm
want to do.
going to get
That's
the
all I
system
want.
no matter what it does or doesn't do.
I still.
Wait, I do want to clarify.
You're an analog b-boy stuck in a digital world, because if you can, if you
I am
don't
a b-boy.
assume that 10 years from now everything, including your watch and your coffee mug, is going to be connected to the internet, it's a little bit presumptuous to assume that your Xbox, which is supposed to be the center of your digital world,
I have an
is
internet
going to be connected to the
when we
internet
live in a world
constantly.
where broadband internet, where we basically are swimming in a sea of broadband internet, I would be totally fine with that. But considering that I'm basically in a desert, even in Los Angeles, I'll stick with my being able to go offline.
I want my brain to always be online.
Give it 8 years.
Here's the thing. I'm all for future. I'm all for future tech. I'm all for it. But I believe in options as a consumer. I don't think that. To me, I wanted, yes, when you're connected to the internet, it does all the cool stuff for being connected to the internet, but there should always be that analog feature there existing. I think that's what I wanted.
So you want the iPod with the
I wanted the Xbox 360.
the LP record player on the back taped to it.
We already have a
that's being
360.
ridiculous.
That's a little extreme.
That's honestly being ridiculous.
I'm
Come
being facetious, but at the same time, it's like I mean, I was part of those people. I was part of the crowd that was like, oh, those cameras and those cell phones, they'll never stay connected for too long. And then look where I am now. Like I have to carry my camera with me everywhere. It's my phone.
Okay. Anyways, I do want to explain real quick for anyone confused out there about all the changes that we're talking about. So, because we kind of just jumped into it. So, Xbox One, to give you the full update, before they had these DRM rights where you couldn't share used games except for with specific family members, and it was this whole issue where you couldn't buy and sell discs particularly. They have completely reversed that because of people bitching and moaning, because of, as we were saying, we think the Sony pre-orders and everything that Sony did is probably the real reason why. But now it's all disc-based, just like Xbox 360 was. They reversed that. The other thing they reversed was you used to have to check every 24 hours on your Xbox One to see if you owned the games that you owned, and if not, you couldn't play them offline. So now they have taken that out, so now no matter what, as long as you have the disc, it's like a 360, you can play your games offline. Those are the changes to
I think it's worth
explain it.
pointing out, though, that immediately after this announcement, a couple of very prominent developers, people who are responsive in their community, and also some publishers kind of hinted that this is a shitty thing to happen for them. It's not what they want. It's gonna. I mean, they are constantly fighting against the aftermarket, and this is just gonna like make it a more relevant market for the next 8 years.
I can see both sides of the argument for sure. I mean, because consumers as a whole, like we are in like this press media world where we get advanced copies or complimentary copies, but normal consumers, it's $60 a game plus tax. It's a lot of money, but on the other side of the spectrum, I see that, you know, these games cost a shit ton of money to produce.
But if they were better, they would sell more.
Right.
I'm not going to spend. I'm not going to spend $60 on a game that's worth only $30.
But see, to me,
and that's why. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say that's why I have a GameFly account because I rent the games. Because I don't have that amount of money.
I was seriously wondering.
I wouldn't be able to do that.
I was seriously wondering what this was going to do to GameFly with the whole Xbox One announcement. But I guess now
I like how the
it's
stock price of GameStop went back up.
I still think that if they had cut out used games, I think new game sales would have actually taken a huge hit because people would have been more picky on what games they buy new because they wouldn't be able to sell them afterwards.
Yeah, and for me as well, I know like I when I was a kid, and now this is kind of a moot point, but I still think people do it. I would go to Blockbuster, I'd play a game, it was cheaper then, but that's how I discovered the games I wanted to buy, was by playing them at Blockbuster. And then I would go out and buy it, and that's how I'd figure out what new games I wanted to buy.
Like I said, analog kid living in a digital world.
I'm talking about back when I was a kid. I'm just saying that I'm sure there are people who
not
still
with
do that.
Blockbuster, but with GameFly. That's why I rent it. But if I like the game enough, if it's worthy of being in my collection, then I'll actually go out and buy it.
Yeah, exactly.
Or you could actually just keep the copy that you get from GameFly at a reduced price too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I mean, yeah, there are mixed opinions. Personally, as people know, I just the offline thing bothered me. The DRM. I see the developer's points, but I do think, though, if you pay $60 for a game, you should at least own it to some extent. And I know you don't technically own it right now, but this is even further unveiling, by the way, you don't own your game. We have to check every 24 hours to make sure you can play it. That's what it was to me. And if I pay $60 for something, even if I have it connected online, which I usually do, Matthew, I still want that option available because I paid $60 for this thing. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So
a lot of money,
that's my opinion on it. I mean, I know you
I mean, I have a theoretical idea of how this would have been better having a console that needs to be online and everything. And I mean, maybe I just got a little wrapped up with like the vision of what that could be based off of some things that Microsoft's saying, but I don't know. It's kind of like you said, it's kind of a moot point. I mean, do you really think they're going to reverse again? I mean, some people that I talked to said, look.
Then it'd be the Xbox 360.
Some people that I've talked to have said, look, they're doing this now, but wait a year, wait 2 years when like they think people might be able to swallow that a little bit easier.
Yeah, and then they just like turn it back on.
And then what are you going to do? You have the system. You're not going to be like, oh, I'm going to get rid of my Xbox 360.
I don't think that they would do
on my Xbox One.
But that would completely crush consumer trust.
That would make me laugh.
What would happen is right now developers would know about something like that. They would know like, hey, guess what? You're going to have to like that online functionality, that phone home is going to be built into the games. Like you can't like it. They wouldn't do that specifically because it would severely break the games.
Well, how long do you think they've been telling the developers exactly how it's going to work now? And then the developers were like, wait a second.
Been hiding it. They've been hinting at whether or not these features would be built into it, but like most of these developers are building for 2 or 3 platforms at once. They're building it, and now they're just starting to get the tools to port it to the Xbox and for the production run. And there's only a very select handful of developers who had the development kits way ahead of time and actually have launch titles available soon.
But you have to wonder, Xbox One had a really, and that's a good point, because Xbox One actually had a lot of exclusive titles, and you have to wonder if the reason that they got these deals to have these exclusive titles is maybe developers were like, oh, well, I would rather make a game for your platform because then I don't have to worry about the DRM issues.
Or we're gonna make more money because we don't need to worry about the game being devalued in the aftermarket.
I still think that this whole DRM debacle, as we'll still call it, came down from the head of a publisher, a major publisher. EA backed out.
How about the creative director,
EA
Adam
and
North?
Activision backed out of it during the announcement of PlayStation, but they're basically like, everybody who's not Microsoft that put their foot out there, that put their foot in the door, can like absolve themselves, and Microsoft was left holding the check.
Right.
So I still think that like the only reason it was put in there is because one of the publishers was really angry that they think that they're losing like multiple millions or billions of dollars to the aftermarket.
Yeah. Oh, so another thing to note though too about why I think they could have done this is again, it was just horrible messaging, and you had Don Matrick being interviewed by Game Trailers. And probably, I think this is one of the best quotes we've had now in the game industry to me, just because it's just such a put your foot in the mouth type of thing, where Don Matrix said, well, yeah, you can't play Xbox One games at all if you're online, sorry, to the troops, like something like that. And Jeff Keighley went, really? That's your message to the troops? You just to buy an Xbox 360? He's like, yeah, you just have to buy an Xbox 360 if you want to play
the new
offline.
one, the new style.
Right, the new Xbox 360.
And that's just
wow.
unfortunate because that's just showing that you don't really care about your consumers.
Well, see, now I look like a jackass. Now I look like I don't support the troops.
No, it's just
No,
like at the end
I
of
get what you're saying, though. There were cool innovations. Sorry.
Oh, no, I'm just saying at the end of the day, like, you know, there's the philosophy, the ant will overcome the elephant, and there are more consumers than there are publishers, and you have to listen to what your consumers want, and they don't want what
I mean, that's how you
Xbox
run a
One had to
restaurant.
offer.
We're the one
Right, the customer's
spending the
always
money.
right.
I like
We're
how
the one spending the money.
I like
so
how no one
we're
knew
the boss.
who you know Matrick was, and then now you as a gamer you can see him right there. You see that iconic photo. Like
Yeah.
maybe you knew some of the Microsoft executives or people who were there, but like
Right.
that guy now is like giant spotlight on
He
him
still
for the
doesn't
rest
have
of his
the
career.
Steve Ballmer level recognition, I don't think.
But I love how Jack Tretton walks on
I'd
to
love
Or
to see
Reggie
the live
Fils.
stream and is just like, oh man, he's just glowing.
Yeah.
Oh,
with,
yeah.
With,
Oh, he
It's like somebody
knows.
handed him
Yeah, he
freaking
knew.
college
He knew.
tuition.
He's like, what's
it's like
up?
literally someone handed him college tuition for all of his kids.
This is
Yeah.
like
He's like,
every
"Hey!"
every single announcement was just like applause, just like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, and something, another from the mouth thing that is fun to talk about as we get to these quick hits. I'm going to start with this for a quick hit, actually, which is Adam Orth, who's the guy who hashtag deal with it about the announcement for
Yeah.
Oh, man.
for Microsoft. He said
Yeah.
he was basically the one who leaked out that Xbox One was going to be online only, and he put hashtag deal with it. He's going to be at GDC this year, giving a conference on how to not troll online and how to like internet like politeness.
Isn't that the ultimate troll that he's giving a
Yeah.
talk
It-
about not
Why?
trolling?
the
That's like
irony
trollception.
of it, yes, trollception.
Perception. Why him? Who hired this guy?
Maybe because he has learned how by doing that people hated him and then he lost his job.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe it's like when
I just find it
someone
hilarious.
litters, they then have to go around and pick up everybody else's crap.
Community service.
Well,
Yeah,
GDC.
it's,
well,
it's
it's
his
like-
community service.
Well, it's like Michael Vick after he got convicted. Suddenly he had to go around and start speaking for the Humane Society. Like that
Yeah,
was.
it could be
I
like
doubt
that.
this is coming from a place of like
He
warmth
needed a lot
and,
worse
and
than that.
generosity, though. I
think it's coming from-
sincerely doubt that
It's coming from a place of this is what I have to do now
Yeah,
until I get another job.
I believe it's
Yeah.
penance. Yeah.
It
And at this
definitely
point,
is.
like, I agree with what he did a service, like he got it out there and like people were talking with it, but he's a pissy person. And unless he's talking directly about how he's sorry about some of the ways he dealt with the community, I would choose to ignore him for that part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for that.
Yeah.
I just find it funny. It's like the irony of it is just killing me. And I died before the show and came back to life. Because that's-
You die a
my son.
lot.
I do die a lot.
Yeah,
I'm a
you-
gamer.
you
You
died
die
on-
and you come back to
You
life.
died on Twitter
I don't-
too.
yeah.
We fought about who was going to be the host after your death.
I felt like literally like it was my funeral, and instead of someone actually coming to mourn my death, it was
We
my
were
kids were
fighting.
fighting over who gets to have
Yeah.
my stuff. That's what I felt like.
They'll probably put a painting or something of you like
Yeah.
somewhere in the studio.
As
Yeah.
long as
The bathroom. It'll be in the bathroom.
It was.
and I won't be wearing a shirt in it because apparently that's what I do when I take photos.
Yeah.
Or something sleeveless.
Yeah, or something sleeveless. So our next quick kick story that we should jump on is basically shut the F up and panic, guys, because Nintendo is going free to play. And by that I mean they have one game they have announced that they are doing free to
We're going all the way.
But
we promise.
they have said that key franchises like Mario and Pokemon they're not going to do it for, but they
Yeah,
are
of course not.
experimenting
Yeah,
with
that's
it.
their
Free-to-play
gold token
Pokemon.
right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's their gold
You have to
token.
actually pay for every Pokemon that you.
Free to
It's
play.
like a microtransaction
you-
for
you-
every Pokemon.
You can
collect
just
them all.
You can
Gotta
just
pay for them
buy
all.
the Pokemon. That's how it would go. It's like you can
It's-
go out there and catch
That's actually
them.
pretty genius.
$1
Free to play
Pokemon.
Pokemon.
It
Please don't
is.
give them any ideas.
$1 Pokemon, and now that there's like over 400, that's $400 if one
No, there's
kid.
over
wants-
500.
Oh, there's over 500 now?
you-
there's-
Pokemon.
there's
What
You know what it
is
was.
this?
Yeah. No, there's over 600. Apparently, there's going to be
I've never
Pokemon
played a Pokemon.
666.
I've never played. I
Never.
played Pokemon Snap, I think, is what
I
I played.
tried gold, I think, and I was like, "What is this crap?"
No, that-
Total
You know what would be
sidetrack.
more genius than the like
Blue and red.
per Pokemon is that like you can only like catch them all for a certain period of time before you become tired. And then you have to
No,
like,
then you have to pay
but
to
then you
stay
could
tired.
buy like potions to like keep
Yeah.
yourself moving because that's
Yeah.
what would happen.
Matt, shut the hell up. They're
I mean-
listening.
I mean, no,
They're
that's a terrible
listening.
idea.
That really is. That's the typical free-to-play model too. So.
That is just totally depressing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's actually they announced. By the way, X2 and Y2, That's what we're doing.
That'd be like having to pay for power-ups in Mario games.
Have
Pretty
they announced
much.
that that's what it's going to be called, X2 on
that'd
Y2?
be
I think that's the one that's about to come out because it was
New
Pokemon X Y, and
Pokemons?
now they're doing an actual sequel.
Oh.
Interesting side note: there is
Right.
going to be a Pokemon number 666 in there.
Oh, I
there
hope he's
is-
a demon. That'd be amazing.
It should be.
Flaming.
Maybe a fairy Pokemon, I think.
A flaming fairy demon.
A flaming fairy demon
It
would
should
be
be one of the
amazing.
psychic Pokemons, the darker one.
Yeah.
That would be cool. There's a
Although-
Pokemon musical, you guys, playing in LA right now. I just want to throw
What?
that out there.
Okay,
It's
this
a
is-
Poke musical.
This is where I'm gonna sound
wanna see
old.
it.
The
That
original
sounds
150
terrible.
Pokemon were so much better than all the new ones.
Don't
Because
even
they
get,
still look like animals.
You're stepping into a trap that's
They
laced
still look
with...
like animals. They look like bees.
And then the tweets are going to start
Look like
flying in right
Buzzbee.
now.
You know what's cuter than Pokemons? Neopets.
I never played
We were
Neopets.
Neopets.
talking about Neopets before.
Way
this.
cuter. Poogles
You know
were
what's
the
better?
best.
You know what's better than all of that? Digimon.
No.
Digimon.
No.
Digimon the show?
Monsters.
Totally.
Isn't
yes.
Digimon the like
Digimon.
GoBots of Transformers or GoBots of
I would
Pokemon?
say
Lots of Pokemon.
Digimon
Yeah.
Well,
is pretty
Digimon
good.
were initially like a Tamagotchi. That was how it started. It was a Tamagotchi.
Yeah, I remember.
I had
I
a
used to have those
Digimon.
in high school.
Yeah. I think I had it in elementary
I
school.
was so lame. I was in high
Like-
school and
No,
had
I had
not
one
that
too.
bad.
a
That stuff,
Tamagotchi.
I
Can I
was
just
too
tell my
cool
story about
for
my
it.
Tamagotchi? I had a
Yes.
Tamagotchi and I had football tickets and I went to the bathroom and when I came back, my Tamagotchi was gone, but my football tickets were still there. Someone stole my Tamagotchi, but
That
left.
is a very, very...
Yeah.
I wonder what
apt-
happened to
like-
him.
I know.
Maybe he's still alive.
Maybe
somewhere
he's
out
still
there.
pooping everywhere.
Think of
He
it.
got a good. The new family treated him well.
If I
Yeah.
see poop in the studio, I know what happened.
Someone really
been
wanted that
sleeping in here.
Tamagotchi.
I know, but like, why would you leave the if you're gonna steal something, steal everything? But no, like they took the Tamagotchi, but not the
Like-
Not a football
Yeah.
fan.
Yeah, not a football fan, obviously. They were a gamer, a thief gamer,
Yeah.
not a sports fan.
So what can love you more?
I know the Tamagotchi.
So the game that Nintendo is trying this out with, though, is Steel Diver, which was a franchise that they first started for the 3DS. It was one of their launch titles.
title.
I don't know if they even did. I don't know if it did well at all, except for the fact that it was one of the only games you could buy when the 3DS came out. Now there's a lot of amazing games.
There were a
But
lot of people
Like
playing
Animal
it at G4
Crossing.
when the 3DS came out.
I brought
They're
my
like, "This
3DS.
Steel Diver is
I
like
did
so
too.
We were
good."
trading puzzle.
It's the
Actually, I have
only
better
thing we
puzzle
could
pieces
play.
for you now.
Yes.
That's what we
Street
talk about here.
passing.
Street
That and
passing.
that little game where people shoot at the faces of other people.
I just
The
feel like
Oh my
Steel
God,
Diver
yeah.
was
I know.
it was not a good launch title up against
No.
Nintendogs
No.
and like, oh man, no.
It just didn't do anything for like this. Also exemplifies what the 3D can do.
Their digital storefront, they're really starting to push. I mean, like they're saying, you know, like, oh, our games are selling well, but you know, like we're really starting to make the push towards digital
There's
storefront.
a lot of cool games that they're buying
Yeah.
out now because now like A Hat in Time wants to go to eShop. The game we were talking
Yeah.
about, Armor now Nintendo approached them. They're going to be releasing Armor as an
Yeah.
eShop title. And then you had Shovel Knight. They even showed at ETH during their Nintendo Direct as a title, even though Shovel Knight approached them about developing
Yeah.
for.
Do you keep your 3D on or off?
I keep it on.
See, I keep mine off at all times. I don't play
Yeah.
any games with my 3D on.
Makes me dizzy.
It doesn't do
It
anything.
just it double visions for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Mine
if I
doesn't
don't
double
hold it
vision.
as perfect position, but that's like even regular 3D movies. As soon as
Yeah.
it gets a certain distance to me, they
Yeah,
split.
there's a
You know that,
percentage
like,
of the
there's a-
population who can't see 3D at all.
Yeah, it's
It
like
makes-
10%.
The
It's actually
only
high.
3D, what's weird, no 3D works for me except Disney 3D. Disney 3D, I actually get
This
it.
might be
Neo,
selective.
Captain Neo.
That's
I-
so
yeah.
weird.
My bouncing
Yeah.
seats, yeah.
I think
How
that
could
this
that
might
be?
be very selective.
Only Disney.
The only 3D that's worth my time is Disney 3D.
That's right.
And is it only at Disneyland or Disney movies?
It's only when
is
she's
what you're
wearing a full Disney ensemble.
It's only at the Disney parks, like
Oh, okay, yeah.
PhilharMagic and
It's 'cause
Tuxedo Bug.
they use a different type of technology. That's
But
why.
I've heard they use the same technology in the El Capitan Theater here
Yeah.
in LA, but I've never been yet.
How many 3D
So
movies
wait,
have
Matthew,
gone
what were
to,
you gonna
though?
throw out there?
Well, I was just saying, you
Okay,
talk
have-
about like how only a
all active
percentage.
shutters?
Only the distance works, but when it gets to here, it's like wah.
Okay, so Matthew, what were you gonna say?
I mean, do you go and see movies in 3D?
no.
Okay,
try
so
not to.
I went and saw Iron Man 3
Yeah.
in 3D. No, I'm sorry, Star Trek.
Yeah.
And you know, it was amazing and everything else like that. And then halfway through the movie, like I don't see the 3D. Like I'm like I just forget that
Yeah.
it's in 3D.
Yeah.
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 And it's just not there. And so when like people are talking about like, hey, in that scene when like the asteroids are all like flying and stuff like that. I just remember seeing it. I don't remember being like the asteroids are coming at my face.
I feel the same way with 3D. I noticed it at first and I forgot.
I haven't really talked about it to people, but it's weird to me. I don't know. It's like when I used to have when I was a kid. I'm only 33, but when I was really, really young, I had a black and white TV and I'd watch cartoons on it. After a while, I never saw black and white. My brain was just like replacing it with color.
Yeah, you just get used to it.
I think it's the same thing with 3D movies.
At Disney parks, they have 4D, so if there's bubbles coming out of the screen at you, they actually fill the theater up with real bubbles.
The bug one.
Oh yeah, the
took me
Muppets.
to it.
Isn't the fourth dimension time?
I love that.
Yeah, the fourth dimension is
They
time, but now
combine
it's,
3D with real life, and you can't tell the difference.
But yeah, I agree with what you were saying though,
I think
Matthew,
I'm
about that.
detecting a Disney bias coming through.
Just a little bit.
Just a hint.
I also noticed when DVDs came out, it looked so much better than VHS. I didn't even notice until I went back to VHS, and I was like, oh my god.
Well,
Same
you
thing with
remember,
Blu-ray and
you
standard.
remember things in HD. It's like, man, 101 Dalmatians. I don't remember it looking like this on
Yeah.
VHS. Gee, I thought it looked like this. But no, you just remember things in high definition.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and move on to our next
insane.
quick hit, which is another Sony update. Has issues. Big surprise. It keeps on
God.
happening, but 4.45. If you guys haven't heard, listen up. Do not download. They actually pulled it. They pulled it. Well, they haven't fixed it. They just pulled it so you can't download
But
it.
my problem is my PS3 updates every night.
Okay, so
when I'm sleeping.
for you, they
Wait,
have
your
announced.
PS3
Did you wake up
connects
to a bricked
online?
console?
I haven't turned it on. I'm too scared.
Online authentication.
I'm too scared to turn it on because I'm scared that if I turn it on, it's going to actually
Maybe- Well, it's
activate the
already-
update.
if you
Maybe
had an
that's what
update Every
happens.
evening, what in the world are you going to do to make sure that it doesn't brick itself?
I don't know.
Okay, well, here's the thing, though. They're saying on June 27th, the newest update is going to come out. So today's the 22nd, so you got 5 more days to wait.
Oh
And
my
apparently,
gosh.
it
Why would they do
says
that?
it will fix a bricked console. I don't know how it fixes a brick console because it's a
It
brick.
evidently was only a half brick.
But yeah, they're saying, well, it was
Half
different. They were saying it was different for everybody. Some people have like full bricks. Some people could turn on and then would shut off. But it was saying even if you have a brick console, they will provide with the update instructions.
How does this get past
for how to
testing?
That's what I was
How?
wondering. That is what I was wondering.
And this isn't the first time this has happened
You're right.
either,
This
right?
is like the third time
Yeah.
Sony's had an update that bricks consoles.
At least, because there are a couple that were lower on the radar, like that
Right.
just didn't like they caught, and it only affected like a small handful of people,
I
and it
remember
didn't
the
get as
one,
much press.
I think right before Uncharted 3 came out, because
Yeah.
I wanted to play it, and they were like, "Don't update it; it's gonna break your console."
And now
don't
it's
play-
coming
don't
out
play
during
Uncharted
Last
3."
of Us.
Oh my gosh!
If I was Naughty Dog, I'd be like,
My
Sony,
heart-
you need to quit
I
making
can't take
updates.
this, you guys.
Say what you want to say about the Xbox though, but I don't recall like these. I mean, yes, we have the whole red
never.
ringing.
No, there's never been this issue.
Yeah, and
Apart
Or
from the red
security
ring of death,
issues,
like
like the
I've never had
PSN
an
shit.
I've never had an update pushed to my console that knocked it out like
Yeah.
PlayStation has.
Yeah.
It's incredible. With what Rachel, I agree with you. I don't understand how something like this passes through testing. I don't get it. I mean, then again, I don't work in making it.
It's
I don't know
sloppy.
how complicated it
It's
is.
incredibly sloppy.
But it does seem sloppy because you're right, Matthew. This has never happened from an Xbox. There was the red ring, but as far as this is concerned, this has never happened.
Right.
how does this not like really like not sync? I mean, obviously people are gonna still buy the PlayStation, but like, I mean, I don't have a PlayStation. I did for a while, but our PlayStation like aficionados, they're just used to it now? They're just like
Maybe.
like
I don't-
oh, that really sucks,
Yeah.
but
I
yeah,
thought
it's probably gonna happen
directly
again.
related to how complicated the PlayStation is compared to the Xbox, because a lot of people have said that Microsoft has tried to make the Xbox 360 as simple to use as possible for its developers and for the users. I think it's like a simple console to update and use and like play around with and all that stuff. From what we've heard, like the PlayStation 3 is hard to develop
Yes.
for.
When it first came out, developers were like, "This is shit."
And
Right.
I don't know if those patches may just be like wandering into a forest,
What
a
are
horrible,
the
horrible
updates?
forest.
No,
Is what
it
I want to
could
know.
be.
Like, what are
Yeah.
Like, there's,
It
like, my
updates every
PS3
day.
runs fine. It runs fine the way it is. I don't need you to touch it. I don't need you to update it. Just leave it the fuck alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
But well, apparently, I mean, here's the thing though. You're saying, Grant, like, it's this horrible forest of things, and
Yeah.
I agree, it could be that.
It could be like
but
a
somehow
tangled web of an operating system that
But-
updating it, they didn't realize.
Wait, but they're able to make the
broke
fix
it.
in 5 days. So if they're able to
Yeah.
make the
That was
fix
probably
for in
like
5
hundreds
days,
of people working
Yeah.
at the same
Oh, yeah,
time.
that's
Like,
true.
do not stop, do not do anything.
Yeah, that's a good point. And
Yeah.
I'm sure they're also getting like reports back from the PS3s of
It's
what went
probably,
wrong.
and you know, and I think it's because the Xbox 360 is such a parallel and all the
Yeah.
Microsoft devices to like an actual computer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Microsoft's used to building operating systems
Yeah.
and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
and Sony
I think
doesn't.
Sony it was probably just it's more of a specialized electronic device that, like you're saying, Grant, it's just kind of like a minefield of like.
And I think it still is. Like I even get the sense while using the PlayStation 3 that it's more of an interconnected web of individualized programs that work together. And the Xbox is not quite like that. It's like a panel of things. It's like the Xbox operating system. With Sony, it's like I've got the Xperia. I've got the interconnectivity between different things. Like each thing is like a little social. I think it's a mess.
Do you think we're going to see the same thing with the Xbox One?
I actually do. I think the Xbox One is essentially a Windows 8 PC.
Yeah.
And I think the PlayStation 4 is again an amalgamation of very complicated software components. I think it's going to be very similar. I actually only think the best way to talk about these new consoles is they are updated versions of their current generation running more like a PC.
Yeah.
So I think Sony's like setting themselves up for some really big problems later on down the line.
Yes.
All right. Well, next thing that
I was going to say, even though with all the controversy, I would have to say that this seriously is like the most exciting console wars that we've had since like Sega did their "we do what Nintendo don't" days.
I think this
like,
could actually be
I
considered
agree.
as a battle.
Yeah, no,
a
it
war.
definitely is. And
I totally
think
agree
it's
with you.
amazing. Yeah, no, I just.
Whereas before it was kind of like, I think you're being a little bit generous with that moniker.
I'm
It's not
still
really a
waiting to
war.
see the first-party games. That's all I care about right now is those first-party games. What's going to set the systems apart
Yeah.
with games.
I'm
You know
waiting
what
for
though? The Wii
Microsoft-
was exciting because it was so different.
Yeah.
Like, this is
Yeah.
definitely a huge war that we haven't seen since Sega
Nintendo's
versus
not even part of
Nintendo.
this war because they're doing their own thing. They're doing
Yeah.
great at doing their own thing, and they're just
They
like, you know
are.
what? You guys fight it out over here.
I
We're gonna
know.
go over and do
Yeah,
this.
they're doing fine. They're making money. They're like, we're happy. We're doing
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
Right. I love
Yeah.
how tactful and classy they are. They're
Yeah.
just like,
They
you know
are.
what? We're gonna make our money. You guys
Yeah.
kill each other.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
All right. Well, let's talk on the next topic, which is NVIDIA Shield's price drop. It was initially $349.99. It's been dropped
Jeez.
to $299.99, and it will be releasing on June 27th, the exact same day as the PS3 update.
The price drop is good.
Price drop is good. I'm still
but
not
I
interested.
Yeah, I was really excited when it was announced. I was like, wow, this is actually pretty cool. This is NVIDIA trying to get but they lost. Like, all the consoles are moving to AMD. They're losing out on the battle of like who's. And I tweeted out like I'm thinking of like, is this the relevancy as far as everything is what NVIDIA versus AMD?
Sure.
Should I be looking to build a new AMD platform because so many developers and games are actually going to start utilizing and optimizing their systems for
Right,
AMD
yeah.
because the Xbox is AMD, because the PlayStation is using like off-the-shelf computer components and not NVIDIA.
No, can someone tell me what is the NVIDIA Shield?
It's like this
exactly?
little mobile gaming.
Okay.
It was Android based, was it not?
Yes,
Yeah, it's
okay.
Android.
Yes.
Which is another terrible idea.
It's a
Right.
And it
controller
can stream
built
games
into
from
a
your PC.
screen, and you could stream games from your PC that were enabled with their NVIDIA platform software. So it wasn't everything.
But it's still more than just Android games.
Yeah, and
And it has a little actual controller stuff on
Yeah.
it on top of the touchscreen.
I think it's going to be a niche product, but I think it's going to be something that will probably sell fairly well.
Do you think it'll?
Yeah.
Well, the
I mean,
N-Gage was pretty niche.
I
but
think
that's
it's going to
insane.
go
When
the
I-
way of the N-Gage.
The
when I got my
price.
hands on it and was just ignoring the price, like I was at E3, I just wanted to kind of see what it was like. The screen is beautiful. Like it's 720p. I was playing Street Fighter. It felt like I was playing on a console.
it is beautiful.
You know?
Yeah.
But technically
It's
speaking,
still an Android game.
it's great when you didn't consider the original price. The price drop was necessary in order to make it actually relevant in my eyes.
Now, see, for me, from a business perspective, like we travel a lot, we go
Yeah.
to a lot of places. I was just like, in my mind, I was like, I don't care what the price is because I can justify it as like a business expense. I was thinking about being in the back of the bus.
Oh, to live in a world
So-
where we can justify our video games as a business
So,
expense.
so I was thinking about sitting in the back of a bus or being on a plane and having like a much higher resolution, much higher def, and real controller experience
Sure.
And it
of
really
being able
was
to play a
that.
game
It was a
as
very
opposed
competent
to
experience.
a D-pad and everything. And now there are controllers you can get
What's wrong
aftermarket.
with a D-pad?
Nothing wrong with the D-pad.
And which library can you access using this?
Android.
Android.
Just Android?
Just
Well,
Android.
and
and-
then stream games from your PC.
But again, it's specifically streaming games from your PC, so the PC has to, you have to be able to stream it. So if you're on a plane, you wouldn't be able to do that unless you had your
You have
laptop
to have a
there.
good internet connection for both devices,
Right.
and you have it has to be a game that's supported by NVIDIA's platform software on the PC.
And there's and they actually have like even a special store. Like, yes, you can go to Google Play, you can download any game that's on Google Play, but for like the real experience of being able to use the controller to full extent, you have to use, I think it's called the Tegra store.
Yeah,
based
it's
off the
Tegra
processor.
store. And if you guys thought the disparity between Google Play and Android and the iOS App Store was big, the Tegra versus the Google Play versus the Android, the
App Store,
the App Store for iOS is just like, it's staggering. There's not really a lot on there.
Well, on what Matthew was saying, the GeForce product line manager Jason Paul, as you guys were talking about, Rachel, with the price drop, and you, Grant, saying it was necessary. He was quoted saying, "We've heard from thousands of gamers that if the price was $299, we'd have a home run."
Did someone really walk up to them and say, "Hey, you know what? It's $299."
Did someone really go up to them and say, "Use the term home run"?
That was actually my note was I circled and I went, "Really?" Like,
well,
it's I don't think it's been
to be honest, I was at the NVIDIA booth at E3 and I was talking to some guy and used those words. So
really?
Well, now you're famous.
I would have to say
we found the origin of the home run thing.
John, you did it.
Yeah,
All right, so next story, we've got iOS 7 is going to support third-party controllers. We didn't really talk about it much because we were so excited about E3 last week.
But this also speaks to the N-Gage. I mean, it speaks to the Shield. Because, like, honestly,
but it's bigger because iOS has a far bigger market, and it has a far bigger slew of games.
Yes.
Now, the question with the third-party support is, though, that I had, because they are going to allow you to use third-party add-ons, so you can have a D-pad, you can have buttons, all that.
Yeah.
I thought freaking N-Gage, not N-Gage.
Shield.
Lufia? Shield?
No, the company that makes third-party accessories for
Tiger?
Nyko. Nyko already had something that was working for the iPhone.
Nyko has an Android one.
So, Grant,
no, they had an iPhone one.
I was at Nyko yesterday in their offices on Westwood and talking to them about it because we were discussing the potential, not to spoil anything because it's not going to happen for a few months if it does happen, of getting a Nyko controller into Loot Crate.
Yeah.
Like what that would look like.
And they are pushing hard. I just did a Kickstarter nugget with them yesterday. They are working with a number of Android developers to try and get that controller out to the developers, not only to the developers, but to their consumers and to their fans as well.
The frustrating part is, a lot of these aftermarket controllers to work on iOS device right now have to be iCade enabled. Like the developer has to have, because they have like an iCade mode.
Right.
And so there's a slew of games that work with iCade, but to your point about like the Tegra store, like having games that are built for it, it's the same thing. It's a slice of a slice.
But it's good that it's a software. I mean, like for the iOS and for Android, it's good that it's a software hurdle because the console or the device and then the controller itself have already been made. It's like the controller is made to work with iCade.
But here's
the
the thing,
iCade is made to work with some software.
Cheaper.
The developers will go out and update their software so that it'll work with the software.
The challenge,
platform.
The challenge for third-party accessory creators, though, is that even though if the operating system supports it, the firmware and the software that runs the actual devices might not work from day one as well.
Well, here's what the iOS 7 is specifically doing, though, is it's trying to make it much easier and streamline everything so it can all have some sort of basis for every controller. It all works together. Because right now how it is, there are, as you were saying, Rachel, controllers for your iPad and iPhone that you can attach. But as Grant was talking about, some controllers only work for some games and don't work for others. Some games only some games actually support these controllers.
Right.
Not very many people own it. It very much segments the market. But this is trying to streamline the experience so everyone is designed in the same sort of way. So if you make a game and you want it to support a controller, they will all do it and have that sort of support.
As far as like the announcement was concerned, is it like a wireless technology? I would assume it is, right?
It's going to be probably over Bluetooth, which is like how
I know that
Bluetooth
is horrible. I've had good and I've had bad experiences with it, with audio and control over it. There's a significant delay sometimes because for Bluetooth, like the technology was developed. It was like, hey, we're going to stream music on it. If your music is delayed, you're not really going to notice that big of a difference. It's a one-way experience.
Sure.
So they built Bluetooth with the ability to like handle a significant amount of delay and lag. And I was like, Apple doesn't usually do that. They don't go with the really faulty, or they go with like full proven technologies, and that's the whole thing about this. Like, oh, third-party control and support. It's an entire program where people have to meet these requirements and specifications, and that's why I kind of wanted to know: is it a proprietary technology? Is it over wireless, Bluetooth?
I'm
seeing those controller markups.
I'm assuming it's going to have to be Bluetooth.
The mock-ups they had shown with the announcement also shows a little kind of like a shield.
A lightning that you connect in a lightning port to allow it, which I think we're going to see a lot of those where like it'll be a shell that you can put onto your phone and give you the actual controls on the right and left.
Well, regardless though, the question then is if they start actually making games that use this controller, do you think that it's going to start competing with stuff like the 3DS and PS Vita now that there's an actual control pad that you can use?
Not with the 3DS, because 3DS is going to have games that the iOS will never have.
Yeah.
3DS is going to be fine. Vita, I still don't understand why I have one.
The other question...
if you're not using it, give it to me.
I mean, the other question is...
I like my Vita.
Well, the other question is, though, then that they're doing this. What I was thinking, too, is... I mean, the person making the game has to decide if they want to support the controls anyways. And if you're making a game for an iPhone or iPad, you want the most people possible to download it. So you're probably still going to try and make a game that is touch-centered controls that it probably won't even work anyways with this control pad.
They'll build it into both. Well, I think both with most of these titles. The developers can't afford it. And honestly, like Apple has always been about making that accessible. Multiple resolutions, multiple screen sizes, touch access to developers who aren't familiar with building touch into their applications. They have made it very simple with their development environment for developers to make the jump to all their new technologies. I can't imagine it's going to be like an impossible hurdle for them to do.
And I can see how it would benefit a developer because it gives them the access to create a more intricate game because there's more button movements to play with.
I totally agree with that. It's just, but then you're also marketing it to less people because it just entirely depends on how many people have actually bought this controller where you can play the game.
I like how everybody totally missed it. It's like, because Steve Jobs died, we can finally put buttons on the device.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, everybody's been whining about having buttons for all this time, and they're like, okay, we'll finally put them back.
I feel like iOS gaming, like, it's not a broken system. It doesn't need to be fixed with third-party controller.
Vibrant.
Like, it's fine the way it is.
Although I do
agree.
Oh, I don't like.
I wouldn't mind a controller with some games.
There are some games that want to control like you have a controller and it doesn't, and they suck.
Even my favorite iPad game. My favorite iPad game that uses a thumbstick. It's just like it's moving around with it, and if it's either follows my thumb all over the fucking screen, or it stays in one place and moving my thumb too far when I'm not looking at it. Well,
I totally agree with both points, and I think that's kind of where the contention is because there are games that would work so much better with that. But at the same time, part of the reason I like the games on my iPhone and iPad is I can be in the bathroom and not have to worry about pulling out a controller accessory that I slap on to play a game.
Or the doctor's office.
Or the doctor's office. It's literally something where I just happen to have it in my backpack or in my pocket, depending on if it's my phone or my iPad.
Thank you for adding a bit of class to the conversation, Jess.
Well, I was talking, or if you're in the bathroom at the doctor's office.
I mean, I don't think to devalue the developers who added this into the operating system. I'm not meaning to devalue them by saying this, but I think it was probably a fairly trivial thing to add to it. It's like when we see these things come across the connector over Bluetooth, make these things happen in the game. Here's the SDK. Here's how to do it.
It's more
so even if
about
it's not going to change iOS gaming forever, I think it's a worthwhile addition.
No, I agree with you. It's definitely a worthwhile addition. A lot of people were speculating like, wow, this is going to totally destroy the console market and destroy handheld because iPads are so powerful in Apple. And I was just like, I don't think so.
It's going to take a lot to destroy the
They've
console
had
market.
years to do it, and it hasn't been done yet. So.
No, they say that every time.
It's not a David versus Goliath anymore. It's a Goliath versus Goliath, and
well,
honestly,
I think
not
it's
one
also
of them is
just two
going to win
different types
out.
of markets. I think there's room for both. And that they both exist. And I agree with you, Matthew. I think it's good they added
and
it.
if I weren't a console gamer, but this option was presented to me, I wouldn't go out and buy a $34 Xbox controller just to play my 99-cent iOS game.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a...
I wouldn't. Yeah, no, that's just. It seems kind of
right. And hopefully it's cheaper. But with that said, though, let's talk on some moments of the week. Our gaming moments of the week. Let's go ahead and go around the horn. And let's start with Grant, because we never really start with Grant. So Grant,
I didn't really have a moment of the week this week.
You are awful.
I've been playing Remember Me. I've
How
been
is
playing
that?
The Last
You can't
of
just
Us.
say like one moment that was your favorite.
How
I've been
is
getting
Remember
deeper
Me?
and deeper into Minecraft.
Yes.
Minecraft, I've been doing a little bit better in.
On console or on PC?
On PC.
You got to join the Loot Crate Minecraft server.
Oh,
it's a good
okay.
group
I
of
need to
people.
join your Minecraft server.
She said that I should play with some of the people that she plays with, and Rachel, for the people listening, and I kind of have been playing Minecraft like as a solo experience. It's like I'm Survivor Man.
No.
Punching tree. The first tree you punched, you're like, you feel powerful.
You're like, this is it.
I'm like peeing on my clothing, wrapping around my head, and venturing off into the wilderness.
Yeah, you went into the Nether by yourself. That's
Wow,
crazy.
man.
But I've also been playing Remember Me, and I've actually been enjoying it. I think people should pick it up if they haven't, or GameFly for that matter.
haven't, yeah.
It's kind of like Mirror's Edge meets a little bit of Mirror's Edge meets Mass Effect. There's no guns in it though.
You
so I
had me
guess
at
it's more
Mirror's
like
Edge
Mirror's
meets. Like,
It's
all you had to
honestly-
say was
I
Mirror's
like
Edge
how
meets.
Mirror's Edge, Matthew's face lit up, Rachel's face goes, meh.
Yeah. Then you say Mass
But
Effect, and
it's
like,
really
yeah.
it's a really interesting story too. I haven't got to the end of it. I'm about to, and then I'm gonna write a review of it at the beginning of next week. But I think it's worth it. It's got some good music. It has some very good. It's a lot of energy went into it, and I think people have downplayed how much energy went into it. It's an entirely new world.
Yeah.
So, I definitely that's my moment of the weekend.
Well, I'll remember that. All right,
Oh.
all right, Rachel, what is your moment of the week?
My, it's not gaming related, but I guess you could say it is a little bit gaming related. But I had a IRL achievement unlocked moment last night. I'd always wanted to dress up like Slave Princess Leia, and I finally got the opportunity.
Whoa!
And our viewership just shot up.
Man,
And
that's a sexy rack, babe.
Thank you. It was seriously like one of those kind of moments where you're just like, is this real life? If I hadn't had so much makeup on, I would have totally started tearing up because it was like the best.
Aw.
You have the chain,
Beautiful.
and you
I'd
have it's
always
broken.
wanted to do it before,
So
and I
this is
never had
you-
the ability.
After you've been able to separate yourself from.
I
Jabba the
did,
Hutt.
and I totally choked the bitch out. So yeah, that's my moment. It
Nice.
was happy days.
In a bathroom, mind you.
In a,
There's
yes.
some toilet paper there. In the lower right.
Yeah, it's
Chris
totally
Gore's
a my
bathroom.
it's totally a MySpace angle.
Chris
whatever
Gore
going on.
wipes like the rest of us.
It's a Leia slave.
Yay.
Slave Leia selfie.
I love it.
All
You
right.
got the arm bands and everything.
Yeah.
The guy who made the costume was there at the event, right?
Yes.
Was it Jamie fight?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, it was.
You know,
Jamin.
Jamin, yes.
Jamin.
Okay, I never met him in
He's
person.
amazing.
I never met him in person.
His work is amazing. As soon as I had heard the costumes, that Slave Leia costumes could be very painful. But no, I wore it all night. I loved it. His work is amazing. His attention to detail was amazing. Yes, Jamin, you're the shit.
Yeah.
Awesome.
On a related, very sad story, I was also supposed to work with him and wear a Slave Leia costume as well, but I had to cancel.
No.
So this week-
And it
Oh.
was not this week. It was maybe like a month ago.
This is a common
and
thing
it
for
was,
him.
Yeah,
apparently.
no, it was very
No,
sad.
yes,
I was
he makes.
also gonna-
He has dozens of costumes.
Yeah, no, it was like very upsetting
I know
because
that
I really wanted
Chris
to do it and we
really
were
likes to dress up
corresponding.
as Slave
Yeah,
Leia.
Chris Gore
Did
does.
he dress
He
up
did.
last night?
He did not dress up last night, which was
Aw.
disappointing.
Chris Gore
Yeah.
from Attack of the Show, for those wondering.
Yes.
He
That's-
did have his classic Yoda like motorcycle like jean jacket
Yeah.
on the back of it.
But you know what? Chris Gore wears Slave Leia outfits constantly and always has Slave Leia parties. I always see him tweeting about
He's
it.
the one guy I think that could really pull it off well.
Yeah.
He does pull it off very well as for a man.
I actually
He
got.
has a level of confidence in doing it that's
There's,
kind
there,
of.
there's
sorry,
a slight
Chris.
It's
begrudging
impressive.
tone in your voice when you say that, Grant. It's like, yeah, he looks kind of hot. Yeah, whatever.
You know what though? He does it so often
It's like,
though.
did you dream about being a male Slave Leia as you were a child? And you know, putting up,
when I was working on Attack of the Show, like it hit me full force. Like all of a sudden one day, it's like I don't really like want to see Chris Gore in anything more than like a T-shirt and jeans on the show. And then
Unless
just
it's
one
Slave
day, it's
Leia.
like, hey, guess what? I dressed up as Slave Leia this weekend, and they started rolling a clip, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I was a weird kid. Like I had these aspirations to be these like sex figures, but I didn't understand that's what they were. Like I always wanted to dress up like Slave Leia because I thought she was pretty. I always wanted to be like I dreamed of becoming a Bond girl one day, not knowing that Bond girls sleep with Bond and then he just completely leaves them. I wanted to be a Bond girl because they were so freaking cool.
They're just badass.
Yeah.
No, they're
Well, they're
super
always
badass.
cool though in the movies, so
Yeah.
they always do badass stuff.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
totally used to
And,
dream about being
and
a Bond
Leia
girl.
was a badass too.
She
so-
was.
was.
She was.
If y'all had Bond girl names, what would they be? What would yours be?
Oh my god.
What would
I already
yours
have
be,
a
Grant?
Bond name. Raychul Moore.
Ah.
I love it. I love it.
She had that. That was very quick.
Yeah.
Like,
She's
She
been waiting.
dreams about it.
yeah.
All right. Well, Jessica, what is your moment of the week?
Well, I've been doing a huge Netflix promotion all this week, so I haven't had much time to play any video games. So I guess the closest thing I have
I'm
was...
crying.
I know. It's like 12-hour days out there promoting House of Cards, because they're
Yeah.
nominated for an Emmy. Thank you very much. So...
It's worth it too.
yeah, no, I've heard...
It wasn't like a bad. It wasn't like a
No, people love
shocking.
House of Cards.
It wasn't a shocking nomination. That
Right.
show was
Oh, yeah.
great.
No, see? So it's been pretty busy because we've been out there about 12 hours a day promoting this. But I guess my gaming moment of last week was, of course, obviously E3. And this was my 7th E3.
Nice.
I was out there doing social media for Game Trailers live stream for their All Access Live on Monday and Tuesday. And then started filming for Metacafe's gaming department.
Oh,
And
great.
so I was out there doing that.
They had a big team there, didn't they?
Metacafe?
Game trailers.
Oh, Game
Even
Trailers.
for the social
They
media.
always have a big team.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
it's
this is like,
no, it was a
oof.
gigantic team. I mean,
Yeah.
it takes a lot of people to do. They were the live source for
Yeah.
all
Oh,
things
yeah,
E3.
yeah.
So yeah, there were a lot of people, but it was so awesome being a part of like this production that just like knew what they were doing and like hitting every moment, every beat, and so it was just it was a 14-hour day.
It makes a huge
Monday,
difference
so
when you
it's-
work with someone who actually
Yeah, it really does.
knows
and
and does it well and doesn't make mistakes.
and everyone there's absolutely amazing.
Mistakes, honestly, it doesn't matter who you are. Game trailers, like IGN, G4, they all happened, and it just seemed like
yeah.
everybody was on their mark this year with Game
Yeah,
trailers.
yeah. No, I really enjoy
Yeah.
freelancing with them. But and again, just being at E3, it's
definitely.
I got to see The Evil Within.
That's the one thing I didn't see. I had I had an
man.
interview scheduled and then they canceled it on me. I was
Yeah,
like, no.
they were pretty in high demand at their booth, and so saw Wolfenstein, got to play some
yes.
Saints Row 4.
It's like everything
That was
Rachel
my
loves.
that was my game of the show was Saints Row 4.
You two are the
yeah?
same.
Yes,
We almost
yeah.
are. We almost are, except different food groups. She's blonde. I'm brunette. So, I mean,
Other than that,
that's the
we
way it
are
works.
one.
Yeah. So it was just a fantastic year, very
Yeah.
exciting
Yeah.
year. Wonderful parties, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I got sick. So I think I
happens
had
from
too
E3.
much. I think I had too much fun. But yeah, no. So that was my gaming moment of the 2
Mom.
weeks.
Yeah. All right. And yeah, actually I saw you at one of the parties, so fun times. I'm glad I didn't get sick
yeah.
though.
I know. That was fun times.
I never really get sick from E3, but PAX sometimes I will get sick.
This was the
from.
first
Yeah.
time. This was the first time I've ever gotten
Yeah.
sick.
And if
At a-
this turns out to be me getting sick, then this will be the first time
I
for me as well.
I blame the PAX thing on the plane though. It's always plane rides. Like I live in LA, so it's easier for E3.
Oh man, it's like Outbreak.
I've been to E3 for 13 years. Every single year I get sick.
Did
you
you
get
get this
sick?
year?
Oh
Which, yeah,
He's
which
the
is
one. He's
which-
it gets us
He's
sick.
the one.
I'm the contagion.
He's the hub.
Yeah, what's crazy
Patient
though
zero.
is like otherwise I have a like pretty strong constitution. Like I just don't get sick during the year,
Yeah.
like at all, like with the flu or anything. But
Yeah.
come E3
Just that one.
and Comic-Con, like I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Well, what is your moment of the week, Matthew?
It's not. I mean, it's more of a casual game. But I've
Yeah.
started playing Heads Up. Have you seen that game?
I haven't.
No.
So I didn't know that it was on Ellen as part of it until I looked into like who made it. And it was like Touchstone Pictures, I think.
Yeah.
But it's this game where you take your iPhone, you select some kind of trivia, so say like video game characters. You hold it up to your head, and it says the name of what the person that you're playing with has to guess.
Yeah.
So if I put mine up and it said, like Mega Man, you'd have to start giving me hints.
Sure,
You'd have to
sure.
be like,
Yeah.
he was half man, half robot, like, and go through it.
Some people might call him the Blue Bomber.
Right. So the special sauce about this is it uses the camera, the front-facing the camera that's facing you when you're looking at the
Right.
screen, and it records you. So
Yeah.
imagine like as we're going back and forth, and the frustration of like you're trying to tell me, and I'm like I have no idea and everything. It records that whole video, and then you can share it on Facebook or
Oh, that's
Twitter. and
great.
everything.
That is great.
And it's nice. It's nice because everyone has their phone with them.
Yeah.
And so when we were at E3 or in the Loot Crate bus, because this is the first time that we had like a big. It was our first E3. We've only
Yeah.
been around for 10 months. When we had like time to to kind of settle down and everything, we're always like playing Heads Up
Yeah.
or on the trip up to Seattle. So I recommend it. They do. It's got like video game trivia, celebrities, music, that kind of thing. So that was probably my moment.
Awesome. Well, that is cool. I got to try that one because I love games like that in that style. And then my moment of the week that I'll jump on is I've had a Wii U for a while, but I finally started utilizing the streaming functionality of it. And I realized that I was playing Super Metroid because it was a 33-cent download on eShop. And I actually had it on my Wii already, and I haven't transferred over the files. I was like, 33 cents, fine, whatever, I'll pay it just to play some Super Metroid. And John was using our TV, and I had to go to bed. So I was like, all right, I'm going to go to bed. I was like, wait a second. I can bring my Wii U into bed with me and play it in bed, even though it's a different room. So I started doing that, had the Windows startup happen, and so I was playing that. I was just like, this is incredible.
Yeah, and see, that's so unfortunate that I feel like the general public doesn't realize that that's an option.
Yeah.
And that Nintendo sales are suffering because of that.
And the other fun thing,
maybe they
too.
can push a little update.
I
and,
forget.
Like, it'll pop up on the
Yeah,
screen. Hey, guess what? It's not
I
an
keep
upgrade.
forgetting.
Well, the thing is, I just forget about it because usually if I'm using the TV, I'm using the full TV.
Yeah.
But then it was like John was playing Bioshock Infinite, and
Not on
I
the
wanted,
Wii U.
Not on the Wii U, but he was playing Bioshock Infinite, and I wanted to play Super Metroid. And this was the next day. I was like, wait a second. I could play Super Metroid, and I just pulled out my Wii U and was playing it anyways. And it didn't matter that John was on the TV using it. So.
And it's so awesome that you can do that.
I need to do that more often because I just keep forgetting.
It's surprising that they don't have. I mean, I don't really watch a lot of commercials, I guess, because I watch a lot of DVR stuff, but I don't see a lot of ads for Nintendo. I mean, could you imagine, like, if just not even any audio, just or no voiceover, just that scenario of you there. And just watching that for 30 seconds and just having people be able to click.
But I guess that just specifically caters to people who have roommates
of the Nintendo
or
ads
like family.
for that stuff, though? Have you seen any of the Nintendo ads?
The last Nintendo ads I remember were the Wii, where the two Asian guys were going around and like, oh, here's what we have for you, and then they like. They have their own Nintendo feel, and I like it, but I feel like they should do more of that, and I think they're afraid to do it in the Western countries. I think they're afraid to like put themselves out there, and I think that I think people would embrace it.
But I was enjoying it, and I was having fun with it, so I'm just glad I rediscovered that functionality of it.
Good.
So with that said, let's get on to That's a Quote, talk about some quotes from around the industry. Michael Pachter, Pac-Man Pachter, famous industry analyst, has analyzed this, that he thinks, he says, quote, "We are confident that with 6 months of focused messaging, Microsoft can fully level the playing field with Sony, and we expect the Xbox One to sell as many units as the PS4. And that's basically after saying that he thinks they're going to drop the price tag to $400 within a year.
What should have been the lead-in?
To me saying this?
This is so silly.
I jumped into my research. But yeah, so basically the main point is that right now it's $500. He thinks that they're going...
He thinks the price will lower sooner than later. I think it will lower sooner than later.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
They
this
gotta
just
do
is
it
so
quick.
silly, though.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter if he thinks it's going to drop sooner or later. That his thoughts on this are pointless. It's just like he sits around at home with a coffee and he's like,
That's what he's hired to
I
do.
think that they will
That's
lower.
his job.
And that's it.
Yeah.
I want to sit around and make
somebody
predictions.
pays him way too much money for this.
I want to make
fucking awesome
predictions.
is
They pay
that?
him to do that because he's most often right. That's why.
If he wasn't right, he wouldn't be paid to do it.
We've been
Or he'd
right
just be that
more
guy who's-
often than not.
Hey, let's team up. We'll go
Hey,
into
but
the
you
whole
guys were wrong about the
consultation
Xbox
thing.
One thing.
We're
and I didn't
coming
get a
for you,
cookie.
Michael Pachter. We're taking your job.
Technically, as far as the game is playing out, we'll be right in the long run.
No, but you guys were saying that at first, like they weren't going to do that online thing, and that I have to do this crazy crap if and like go run around in a Speedo. And then they did do it, and then they took it back.
Do you think they'll do it within a year? Drop the price?
I do.
I think it'll happen soon.
think
Like
so.
summer? Because I would think obviously they can't cannibalize any of the holiday sales.
I
or
wonder if this has all been strategic planning on Microsoft, and it's like we'll make them think we're screwing them to put down Sony's defenses, but at the end of the day, we're going to take away the DRM and we're going to match Sony's price, and people are going to flip their shit.
They're going
So
to do
this is
that.
Can I say
all-
flip on
this
this
is-
show? By
You can
the
say
way?
flip.
Well, you already
I
said
a bad word.
shit, so you know it's kind
that-
of too little, too late.
I've
So that was-
overanalyzed this all during the week. I've talked with a number of different people on Twitter. I wrote an article on it at the beginning of the week as well when it was announced. I've thought about this a lot in the Xbox announcement, the price drop, all that stuff. I seriously think that Sony is selling their console at a significant loss. And I think that Microsoft hasn't stepped that far in that direction yet. And the price drop will happen sooner than later, in my opinion. And it doesn't matter if Microsoft's going to throw 100 million at it. It doesn't matter if they're going to throw 200 million at it in order to bring that price down. It's going to benefit them in the long run, because if they're looking at like the sales and pre-orders in order to decide, hey, we're going to shut off the DRM suddenly, they will look at the sales and pre-orders again and say, we cannot afford to have a 3-to-1 PlayStation leads the Xbox because of something like the price or the DRM. We're going to fix it. So if, just like they fixed the DRM issue, if they see that the sales are leaning in one direction, they will make again another corrective change and change the price.
I think it's
going to
be interesting to see once the consoles come out and people do teardowns and stuff, which is inevitably going to happen. To see what people value the price of the consoles at. Like, you know, the PlayStation 4 has X amount of dollars worth of components, and the Xbox One has you know, Y amount of components. It'd be interesting to see what that looks like.
Love to see that.
More so than the previous generation, these are going to be like I said weeks ago, these are more like not off the shelf components, but they're built out of more common PC components. So the price will drop considerably over the lifetime of the console, but right now they're hot items. Like that amount of memory, those types of processors are very expensive to produce and get from AMD and the manufacturers. So I think it's going to be closer to close to 1,000.
Sure. So we'll see what happens.
700.
Let's go ahead and jump on our next quote, which is that Cliffy B is also upset about the Xbox 180, and he tweeted out a bunch of quotes. And this is why he's upset. He tweets out, quote, "More studios will close, and you'll see more PC and mobile games. Quote, brace yourselves, more tacked-on multiplayer and DLC are coming. You're also about to see available microtransactions skyrocket. Hats for everyone."
I totally agree with him.
And
That's
he says,
all I'll
quote,
say.
"I want developers who work their asses off to see money on every copy of their game that is sold instead of GameStop. F me, right?" And just he's really pissed. I think he has some valid concerns. I don't think that there's any issue with tacked-on multiplayer and DLC coming, because it's all something
they were gonna do it anyway.
Right, like Tomb Raider had it. I mean, look, the thing is, if it's tacked on, who cares? It's not like it's affecting me. If I have to pay for it and I don't want to, then I won't.
Yeah.
So like, what?
Yeah.
That's not a big deal. Who gives a crap?
I don't think that's a big deal.
Does he mean by tacked on as in like not as much time spent on it? Okay.
Yeah, he means that.
As long as they spend their time on the single player and then just have to add in multiplayer, whatever. It's been
Right,
happening.
Like, who cares?
With the greater
So I
narrative
don't
that he's
care.
been painting about this issue, I still think that what he's saying is that this is hurting the developers and the publishers.
Right.
That
the
is-
Xbox 180 and the microtransactions and the DLC is a way for the developer and the publisher to get money back from the consumer that bypasses the retail experience.
Well, that is it, but I also don't see any issues with it, except for when it's like pay 180 Microsoft points for content that should have been in the game in the first place. That's when I'm annoyed.
I don't like on disc.
The on disc thing annoys me, but if it's like pay $180 for a new or 180 points for a new skin, so what? Fine, let them do that. I don't care.
Yeah.
But the other thing is, more studios will close, and you'll see more PC and mobile games. I don't think so. I really don't think that
Kind of a
this
weird
is going to cause it.
kind of a weird way to make your point too. It's like but it's somehow painting that PC and mobile games are bad. It's like, get ready for more PC and mobile games. So some people, it's like, great.
Yeah.
We
Right.
want to see more titles that are traditionally on consoles switch over to PC.
And regardless, I don't think that's even going to happen anyways.
No.
I mean, the thing is with Cliffy B is he's becoming more and more emo about everything, and he just is.
I mean, he has experience. I mean, the guy created Jazz Jackrabbit.
Fine. So he says, quote, "I find it funny how people are, quote, what I do have is 20 years of experience making games and seeing how the sausage is made." That's true, but you also get developers like Lord British becoming Lord Douche when he said all game designers suck right now. And it's like, why do we listen to every game developer as if they know every single thing? Everyone has a different
most
opinion.
of everything what he said, and when he says like he's seen how the sausage is made, like he's getting down on the same level with us. He's not working anymore like that. He's basically become a commentator for the time being.
So
and a
why? But
consultant.
every single time he comes out with something is so negative and so whiny. That's my only issue I have.
It's
with
not
him.
what you say, it's how you say it.
Right. Like, it's fine that he has this opinion, but he always comes off so whiny about everything.
The F me right thing, you know, like it does have that kind of like a little snark to it. That's hard to take it as like, you know, professional commentary. But I guess
he says, quote, "I find it funny how people are saying that I lost when I don't have a job or an allegiance right now. So I mean, clearly he's pissed off because people are tweeting at him certain
But he still
things.
identifies as a developer still.
Right.
I would say.
I'm
So,
sorry I cut you off.
No,
though.
no, no. It's the same point.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it's just the way that he's presenting himself. He says also Sony forced Microsoft's hand, not the internet whining. I do agree with that.
No. Sony didn't force their hand. Kind of. It was the pre-orders that forced their hand. So the consumers did force their hand. Like if Sony did this all the live long day and the consumers weren't responding, why the hell would they give a goddamn shit? It's like, all right, fine.
Yep.
Right.
It was a money thing, pocketbook. Got him in the wallet.
Totally. And then that does it for our quotes for today, as we were running pretty long. So let's go ahead and talk with our amazing guest we have with us, Matthew, about Loot Crate. Because you have this little thing that's kind of blown up into a big thing called Loot Crate. Why don't you go ahead and explain it for people who don't know?
So Loot Crate is a subscription service for geeks and gamers. So it takes that Comic-Con or E3 kind of feel of like the swag and the collectible items that you get from going to these events. And we put it into a box that's a mystery box every month, and for less than $20 we ship it to your door in US and Canada. So it includes apparel, collectibles, special discounts from, although we go light on the discounts, it's not like there's a bunch of coupons in there. It's really just like for major publishers and brands that we admire. Sometimes food related items, so sometimes we've had like Mario Cube candies, but we always make sure that if we have items like that they also have additional value.
You had me at valuable food.
So that so that tin of Mario candies, after you eat the candies, it's a nice little like collectible to put on your desk and everything.
And hopefully those are non-perishable for enough time, right?
Well, the container itself, yeah.
Well, I meant the candy that you're going to eat. You said something like a rotted fruit. Like,
No.
Hey,
No,
Here's an apple.
rotten meat.
It's been a great experience, mostly because the community around it. So we have a unique relationship being in LA of working with influencers like Raychul, like Toby Turner, like Olga K, major YouTubers who have been looking for a service like this and want to offer it to their community. And so the photos, the videos, tweets, our mobile app, all the community coming together and making an experience in between the actual just boxes coming out.
Yeah.
It makes it less of a transactional, like, yeah, we have this box of awesome stuff and it comes to you every month. And then you're like, oh yeah, there's my Loot Crate, like whatever. Instead, the community, and we've embraced it, have created this experience in between the boxes where people are waking up, opening up the Loot Crate app and like saying, hey, fellow looters, like, what did you guys like about E3? Like, there's this whole ecosystem that we could have never manufactured.
It's like Christmas.
It's been
every month.
Yeah,
You
the
open up your
community is
present.
amazing. The community, they interact together, they share photos and video and just chat. The community is like just really awesome.
And a lot of these are exclusive content that you guys are giving that you can only have through Loot Crate.
Right. So, some of the apparel that we have, we work with artists, across different both geek and gaming genres, and they've created like this amazing artwork, but we work out with them because we're doing such high volumes. Hey, if we're going to have that shirt of the TARDIS transforming into Optimus Prime, which is a nice mashup shirt, we'd like to do it in this color and a commitment that you're never going to, that it's like could be exclusive to Loot Crate. And so we try and do those types of things to make sure that our community feels like they're getting, which is authentic, a unique experience. And then we manufacture some of our own things. Like this is a Konami code wristband.
Nice.
And then we also have this split personality wristband. It says gamer on one side and geek on another. Simple things, and they're definitely not like the cornerstone products we put in the crate. But there's small things like that we do that we try and make sure that people haven't had experience with in the past.
One of the things I love about it is, as a girl, a lot of times when I get shirts from E3 and stuff, they're extra large men. But when you like
And I
sign
can't wear
up,
those either as a guy, by the way.
Right. Yeah, when you sign up for Loot Crate, you do fill out this little survey, and then with your preferred size, and they do their best to try to match you with your preferred size, and that's awesome to get a shirt in the mail that I could actually wear.
See, that's why that's actually why I don't ever get swag from E3 is because it never fits me.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, this is useless.
Yeah, right now in our offices in West Hollywood, there's 30 people from TaskRabbit. We hire, people from TaskRabbit to come in, and the entire place is just filled up with United States Postal packing racks and everything. But right there, male and female, from small all the way to XXXL. We're making sure that we're getting the size that people are requesting in their box.
That's good.
It's worth that extra time when you see the smile on someone's face on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's a girl, and she chose the girl cut and everything, and she looks like super happy. Like, it's worth the customization time.
So that's all I ever get is like I interviewed 50 Cent and they gave me an XXXL shirt. Does it look like I wear an XXXL?
I know.
I'm like, thanks for
looks
XXXL.
like you wear an XS there, dude.
Yeah. Because I'm all in XS. That's why.
But also, like a lot of the crates, when you watch other people's unboxings, sometimes there's like you get blind box little action figures in there. So you can watch somebody's unboxing, but get a completely different figure than theirs.
That's awesome. So it's like a Kid Robot thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
Kid Robot.
Are you guys working with Kid Robots?
Fury.
Yeah. So two months ago, we had the Street Fighter blind box characters. So we had Ryu, Blanca, and so people were getting rare figures.
I got so excited.
I got like a really rare figure, the Sagat, right?
Sagat.
Sagat.
I would be so
Bob Sagat.
But I love Ryu, and if I didn't get Ryu, I'd open my box and be like, it's not Ryu.
I got a Chun-Li.
Oh, perfect for you.
I know.
Perfect for Jess. Jess is like Chun-Li.
She's Chun-Li.
You
They
need
didn't
a
have any
cami.
camis. They didn't have any camis.
And then we also
You
do
got
something
that
called
sound really good.
And then we also do something called the Mega Crate. So out of our subscribers, once a month, you have this opportunity to win hundreds of dollars worth of stuff. And it's not just like, here's a gift card or something. We actually did a whole Hyrulean shield that was painted. We had a collector's edition lightsaber, Darth Vader
Force FX lightsaber with the removable blade.
Now, I do have to ask, though. I mean, these are expensive items, some of them that you're giving out. And obviously, you are going to presumably have to go out and buy these. How have you been able to manage? Maybe this is a business secret, making it so someone can buy this at an affordable price.
Yeah, I'm comfortable talking about it. Well, I mean, the items that are in the box, we generally get around like $30 to $40 worth of value for that $20 you're paying, including shipping. Although sometimes, a shirt that's amazing, epic shirt, people might value that right there at $15.
Right.
But the way we get stuff in there is a blend of, working directly with the companies and being like, hey, we're geeks, we're gamers, look at our community. Can you give us like some preferred pricing, some information? And some of it is just stuff that we've manufactured ourselves and put in there. So it's my co-founder, Chris, who started the company with me. It was his idea. We teamed up. That's his speciality. He is able to like get the pricing and get it all down and everything, and helps with the curation process. So we're at the point now where the community is big enough that companies are coming to us, but we're not going to ever compromise on items we include in the crate just to for financial reasons. If we're not if we're not passionate about the items that we're putting in there, then we're just going to say no.
And you guys only just started 10 months ago, right?
10 months ago, yeah. It was it's been a crazy ride because now we've been to E3. We've got a giant 40-foot mobile command center bus that we're taking to like Rooster Teeth Expo, Kamikaze, Comic-Con. Yeah. And it's just really growing big. Yeah. So if people want to know more about Loot Crate, they can go to lootcrate.com, youtube.com/lootcrate, instagram.com/lootcrate, all those places. And they can actually see behind the scenes, like us packing the boxes, the story of how we started, and then hundreds and hundreds of videos of our community who've uploaded unboxings and given their honest reaction to what they feel about the stuff that's in there.
And it's just www.lootcrate.com?
Yep, www.lootcrate.com. And actually, we're going to do a special for anybody who's a Game Control community member, and that's going to be a 10% off discount, which is just lootcrate.com/Game Control, and then you just, when you check out, put in Game Control, save 10% on any of the plans.
That's right. 10% off. Use lootcrate.com/Game Control. I'm doing that as soon as we're done. That's going to be my thing. I'm sorry, the show's going to be uploaded a little bit later because I'm going to Loot Crate to do that.
It will have already done.
Really quick, you were talking about the bus that you have touring. Is it an experience? Like, can fans get on this bus and look at things?
We've had people, right now it's kind of like a mobile office. So we have these yoga balls we sit on, and then there's actually there's desks that we set up. So I take
your core.
He's like, if you want to see me doing business, you can come on the bus.
Well, when we do drive it into, when we're at Vlogger Fair and we'll be at Kamikaze, inside it's it's all decked out with stickers and stuff like that. So we do invite people on board. But it also serves as like a backdrop. So when we go to events, we have multiple Xboxes set up playing Mario Kart, Call of Duty, all that kind of thing. So it's an actual like an activation, like an experience we can do.
Awesome.
But it also serves as a way for us to get around the country and kind of like
work.
And work at the same time.
That sounds like quite the experience.
It's no Gibson bus. Like I don't know if you've ever been to see the Gibson one where it's like sofas and like plasmas that come down and everything. But you can actually go to youtube.com/lootcrate, and there's actual videos of us like priming it, painting it, putting it all together and stuff like that. So
That's cool.
That sounds like a fun ride.
it's it.
Yay.
All right, Matthew. Well, thank you so much for being on our program today.
Appreciate it. This
We
is
really
great.
appreciate it. And again, that's lootcrate.com/game control if you want the discount, or just www.lootcrate.com. And with that, we'll wrap up the show with some question of the week, which is that now that Microsoft has pulled a full 180, has it changed anyone's minds who is going to buy a PS4 specifically? Are you now like, oh, well, maybe now I want the Xbox One? Or are you kind of confused by the 180? Or are you not happy like Matthew was or like Cliffy B was? So what do you think about the 180? And if you were going to plan on buying a PS4 because of the issues with Xbox One, has it changed your mind? And some quick comments from you guys on YouTube. Our question was, which system are you favoring at the moment? And if you could choose one game at E3, which are you most excited about? Ryan Whittleson said, after E3, I'm really leaning towards PS4. And he loved what he saw from Batman Arkham Origins. And granted, this is before the new news with Xbox One.
Yeah.
Christopher Lane says, I'll be getting the PS4. Final Fantasy 15 gameplay blew me away. I never thought I'd finally see a Kingdom Hearts action RPG-style FF game. And DT2Tube says, also will be getting a PS4. Always been a fan of Sony, and he's looking forward to 2 games. I said 1, Batman Arkham Origins and Destiny. Destiny, like Grant, I believe, right?
Yes, I will be playing Destiny. Hours
So
I know. I'm gonna
Upon
play it.
hours.
I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play it.
upon hours.
So, guys, thank you so much for joining this week. We're sorry about the live chat issues for those of you who like watching us live, but it will be fixed next week, guaranteed. It was just a service provider issue. And if you guys want to, please check out our YouTube, which I'm assuming you're doing right now. We actually have a new YouTube channel. We are starting to branch off from AfterBuzz. It's Game Control Tube. If you want to come check us out on Game Control Tube, please support us. Please follow us, or follow us on Twitter
Subscribe.
Subscribe. That's it. I'm used to Twitter. Please subscribe to us for Game Control Tube. And we have a new Twitter handle, Game Control TV, as we're going to have interviews from E3. We're going to have a new show, presumably starting next week, Game Control Rewind. We're going to be talking about BioShock Infinite.
Yes, we
BioShock
will.
Infinite Rewind is what we're going to be doing next week.
There will be spoilers.
It will be live, so
yeah.
join us on the live chat. There will be spoilers right after Game Control Live ends. You can check out Game Control Rewind as we talk about BioShock Infinite for our first week. Live, talk about it with us, and you can call in as well, and call in and talk to us. And we also have Game Control Live for this show if you want to follow us on Twitter. So with that said, all this marketing nonsense, I'm Dave Klein, and you can find me on Twitter at @TheDaveKlein. That's Klein.
Oh, hey, you guys. Thanks so much for having me. I had a lot of fun.
We love you.
I love you too.
Jes V.
Oh, yes. Jes V on Twitter. That's JESV.
Very difficult.
Grant, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at GAK.
And I'm Rachel, and I'm at the Rachel on Twitter and Rachel.com on the internet.
And Matthew?
My personal Twitter handle is at Matt Arevalo. The spelling of my last name, obviously, just look at the lower thirds from earlier.
There you go.
Somewhere, I don't know. But I'm also now, I just tweeted at Loot Crate, and you can follow at Loot Crate for lots of
The
stuff.
voice of Loot Crate on Twitter.
The community is the voice of Loot Crate.
Good answer.
And a new person who is now on Twitter with his new Twitter handle, who is now on Twitter.
Freshly minted.
That's Now Quick on Twitter.
Now quick.
So at Now Quick, you can find them on Twitter, and not just the street corner of Third and
Figueroa.
Figueroa. Third and Figueroa. So guys, thank you so much for joining us this week, and we will see you next week. Bye. I don't know.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.